everyone, I am Kane Joshua Ogabang. Right now, I'm going to show you my pechakucha presentation. What I'm going to show you is the food that I have already eat. It is not a Filipino dish, but it is about Japanese food and also Korean food. Also, I am going to talk about why I love Japanese cooking. I'm in love with Japanese food and also Korean foods, but not all the time that I can eat this type of cuisines. It's just that if there is some kind of event in our family, we would love to go to some restaurants and eat. I was able to love to eat these kinds of food because I get influence on K-dramas and animes. As I grow up, I encountered many types of food in Korean and Japanese cuisines until I have learned how to cook some Korean food. But I only know how to cook Korean food because Japanese foods are really hard to make it. Their foods needs to master, especially in sushi and ramen. So in my presentation, I will gonna show you what type of Korean food that I can cook and how to prepare it. And in Japanese foods, I'm going to show you what I always want to eat, and also I want to share why I always want to visit in Japan. I'm going to introduce to you what I am going to cook. As you can see, it is tteokbokki. There are also types of food that I can cook, but I only choose tteokbokki because it is easy to make, and tteokbokki is also one of the famous foods in Korea. Okay, now let me introduce the ingredients of the tteokbokki. First is 1 pound of rice cake. Next is 4 sheets of fish cake, 7 large size dried anchovies with heads and intestines removed, dried kelp, and 1/3 cup of hot pepper paste. 1 tablespoon of hot pepper flakes, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 3 green onions, and lastly, 2 boiled eggs, but this is only optional. This is all the ingredients that I use in tteokbokki, and now let's go on how to make the food. Add the water, dried anchovies, and dried kelp to a shallow pot or pan. Boil it for 12 to 15 minutes over medium-high heat without closing the lid because the dried anchovies and dried kelp is kinda fishy. We need them to be evaporated. Next step is combine hot pepper paste, hot pepper flakes, and sugar in a small bowl. Remove the anchovies and dried kelp from the pot and add the rice cake, the mixture in the bowl, the green onion, and the fish cake and the hard-boiled eggs. Stir it gently until it starts to boil. Just keep the stirring until the rice cake turns soft and the sauce will be thickened, which should be taking about 10 to 15 minutes. If the rice cake is not soft enough, add more water and continue stirring until it gets softened. If you already see the sauce is already thickened, you can now already remove it from the heat and it is ready to serve together with your family, or you can eat it by yourself if no one is around. Okay guys, this is how I cook my tteokbokki. Next is, I'm going to show you what types of Japanese food I have already eaten and what I want to eat if the time would come that I could visit in Japan, and also to know some of their cultures. Thanks to watching animes, I became curious about their foods and cultures. First is, I'm going to show to you what Japanese foods that I have already eaten here in the Philippines. And these are the sushi, sashimi, shrimp tempura, udon, miso soup, and many more. And guys, I have some tips on how to properly use the wasabi on the sushi. If you're eating sushi, and there will always be wasabi inside dishes. If you're going to use the wasabi, don't mix the wasabi and the soy sauce because it is considered as bad manners. Instead, if we use the wasabi, put the wasabi on top of the sushi and dip it in the soy sauce. And now I am going to share to you why I want to visit Japan. And you already know why I love Japan because I get influence in anime, but there are also certain reasons why I want to visit. For example, the sakura trees, the Mount Fuji, their markets, especially in Tokyo, and also their temples. Japan has really do have the natural beauty of the country. Even though many people associate Japan with a highly modern country with shopping malls and high-end stores, there are many ways in which Japan is a nature lover's paradise. Japan has done some of the best natural scenery in the world. That's why I want to visit Japan. And also their cultures, I always want to wear yukata because as I watch some animes or real life documentary, people in Japan wear yukata or kimonos when there are festivals. The feeling of wearing something like that while watching fireworks or with sakura flowers are truly amazing. Okay guys, I am done sharing to you what type of Korean food that I could easily make and the reason why I love to go to Japan and also their food. Knowing something not in our country is truly fascinating and it really amazes me that each country has different food and culture. Knowing the other country's culture and foods are amazing because you could expand more of your knowledge and understanding or discover more things that we don't usually see in our country. I can truly say that I am really blessed that I was born. Okay guys, this is the last slide of my Pecha Kucha. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And before I want to end my presentation, I have something to add. One of the greatest regrets in life is being what others would you want to be rather than being yourself. Thank you everyone and have a nice day.